What's up, YouTube? Let's get straight to the point. But first, do me a huge favor. Like and subscribe. Thanks. Alright, so starting with the myth number 1. Serial killers are dysfunctional losers. Or loners. Whoops. The majority of serial killers are not reclusive, social misfits who live alone. Many serial killers hide in plain sight within their communities. Serial murderers often have families and homes, are gainfully employed, and appear to be normal members of the community. Because many serial murderers can blend in so effortlessly, they are oftentimes overlooked by law enforcement and the public. Robert Yates killed 17 prostitutes in the Spokane, Washington area during the late 1990s. He was married with 5 children, lived in a middle-class neighborhood, and was a decorated U.S. Army National Guard helicopter pilot. That's a mouthful. During the time period of the murders, Yates routinely patronized prostitutes and several of his victims knew each other. Yates buried one of his victims in his yard, beneath his bedroom window. Yates was eventually arrested and pled guilty to 13 of the murders. The Green River Killer, Gary Ridgway, confessed to killing 48 women over a 20-year time period in the Seattle, Washington area. He had been married 3 times and was still married at the time of his arrest. He was employed as a truck painter for 32 years. He attended church regularly, read the Bible at home and at work, and talked about religion with coworkers. Ridgway also frequently picked up prostitutes and had sex with them throughout the time period in which he was killing. The BTK killer, Dennis Rader, killed 10 victims in and around Wichita, Kansas. He sent 16 written communications to the news media over a 30-year period, taunting the police and the public. He was married with 2 children, was a Boy Scout leader, served honorably in the U.S. Air Force, was employed as a local government official, and was president of his church. Myth number 2. Serial killers are all white males. Contrary to popular belief, serial killers span all racial groups. There are white, African American, Hispanic, and Asian serial killers. The racial diversification of serial killers generally mirrors that of the overall U.S. population. Charles Ng, a native of Hong Kong, China, killed numerous victims in Northern California in concert of Robert Lake. Derek Todd Lee, an African American, killed at least 6 women in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Coral Eugene Watts, an African American, killed 5 victims in Michigan, fled the state to avoid detection, and murdered another 12 victims in Texas before being apprehended. Rafael Resendez Ramirez, a native of Mexico, murdered 9 people in Kentucky, Texas, and Illinois before turning himself in. Rory Conde, a Colombian native, was responsible for 6 prostitute homicides in the Miami, Florida area. Myth number 3. Serial killers are only motivated by sex. All serial killers are not sexually based. There are many other motivations for serial murders, including anger, thrill, financial gain, and attention seeking. In the Washington, D.C. area, serial sniper case, John Allen Mohammed, a former U.S. Army Staff Sergeant, and Lee Boyd Malvo killed primarily for anger and thrill motivations. They were able to terrorize the greater Washington, D.C. metro area for 3 weeks, shooting 13 victims, killing 10 of them. They communicated with the police by leaving notes, and they attempted to extort money to stop the shootings. They are suspected in a number of other shootings in 7 other states. Dr. Michael Swango, a former U.S. Marine, ambulance worker, and physician, was a healthcare employee. He was convicted of only 4 murders in New York, Ohio. Although he is suspected of having poisoned and killed 35 to 50 people throughout the United States and on the continent of Africa, Swango's motivation for the killings was intrinsic and never fully identified. Interestingly, Swango kept a scrapbook filled with newspaper and magazine clippings about natural disasters in which many people were killed. Paul Reed killed at least 7 people during fast food restaurant robberies in Tennessee. After getting control of the victims, he either stabbed or shot them. The motivation for the murders was primarily witness elimination. Reed's purpose in committing the robberies was financial gain, and some of the ill-gotten gains were used to purchase a car. Myth number 4. Serial killers operate interstate. Most serial killers have very defined geographic areas of operation. They conduct their killings within comfort zones that are often defined by an anchor point. Example, place of residence, employment, or residence of a relative. Serial murderers will, at times, spiral their activities outside of their comfort zone when their confidence has grown through experience or to avoid detection. Very few serial murderers travel interstate to kill. Myth number 5. Serial killers cannot stop killing. It has been widely believed that once serial killers start killing, they cannot stop. There are, however, some serial killers who stop murdering altogether before being caught. In these instances, that are circumstances and effects that inhibit them from pursuing more victims. These can include increased participation in family activities, sexual substitution, and diversions. BTK killer Dennis Rader murdered 10 victims from 1974 to 1991. He did not kill any other victims prior to being captured in 2005. During interviews conducted by law enforcement, Rader admitted to engaging in autoerotic activities as a substitute for his killings. Jeffrey Gorton killed his first victim in 1986 and his next victim in 1981. He did not kill another victim and was captured in 2002. Gordon engaged in cross-dressing and masturbation activities, as well as consensual sex with his wife in the interim. Myth number 6. Serial killers are insane or evil geniuses. Another myth that exists is that serial killers either have either a condition or they are extremely clever and intelligent. As a group, serial killers suffer from a variety of disorders, including psychopathy, antisocial personality, and others. Most, however, are not adjudicated as insane under the law. The media has created a number of fictional serial killer geniuses who outsmart law enforcement at every turn. Like other populations, however, serial killers range in intelligence from borderline to average to above average levels. Right before we get to this myth, I just want to say I've heard podcasts and just podcasts of serial killers actually trying to get caught because for whatever reason they just want to, or they're just taunting police. But anyways, back to this next myth. Myth number 7. Serial killers want to get caught. Offenders committing to a crime for the first time are inexperienced. They gain experience and confidence with each new offense, eventually succeeding with few mistakes or problems. While most serial killers plan their offenses more thoroughly than the other criminals, the learning curve is still very steep. They must select, target, approach, control, and dispose of their victims. The logistics involved in committing a murder and disposing of the body can become very complex, especially when there are multiple sites involved. As serial killers continue to offend without being captured, they can become empowered, feeling they will never be identified. As the series continues, the killers may begin to take shortcuts when committing their crimes. This often causes the killer to take more chances, leading to identification by law enforcement. It is not that serial killers want to get caught, they feel that they can't get caught. That just goes to show that even if you attend church, you can still be a really terrible person. Just saying. Alright, real quick, if you made it this far, comment deathcore in the comments. Or not, I guess. I don't know, but tells me you made it this far. Alright, bye.